Hello and welcome to another episode of I Create Stories. I am Samuel. I am a comic book writer, artist, creator, kids book creator. I'm a content creator. I just create stories. So welcome. So in this edition, I wanted to talk about this book. So I have an amazing collection of reference books and art books and the art of books. And the reason why this one's so important to me, and I'm going to be going through it with you for the first time because I just got it. The reason why this is important to me because this is my era. These are the cartoons that has influenced me growing up. Everything from Ninja Turtles to He-Man to Smurfs and Garfield and Mighty Mouse and Inspector Gadget and She-Ra. So the reason why art books and the art of books and reference books are so important to a creative is because it gives you a different perspective on the mindset of your heroes, the creators out there, and sometimes the unknown heroes, right? Not everyone's going to get the notoriety that some of the artists or creators get. So you have some people in the background that you don't really know who is the artist of Inspector Gadget. You just know I appreciated the story and the cartoon. So this is the totally awesome The Greatest Cartoons of the 80s, written by Andrew Farago and forward by Russi Taylor. So it's broken down into sections and by actual cartoon. So you have the forward, you have the introduction, and chapter 1 is the Smurfs, which ran from 1981 to 1989. Then you have chapter 2 with Spider-Man and his amazing friends. I watched that religiously. Crazy. Then you had He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. She-Ra, Princess of Power, from 1983 to 85. And Inspector Gadget that ran for 3 years, 83 to 86. G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, 3 years. My fave. I still have over 170 of my action figures for G.I. Joe. I still have a lot of the vehicles. Big G.I. Joe fan. Transformers ran for 3 years, from 84 to 87. You had Jem and the Holograms. Jem is truly outrageous. Truly outrageous. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Why am I singing that song? So, Thundercats. Thundercats. Oh. So, I ran for 4 years, from 85 to 89. One of the most epic stuff. Muppet Babies, 2 years, from 85 to 87. You probably don't even know the song to that. Muppet Babies, whatever. So, the Real Ghostbusters, Disney Afternoon, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, from 87 to 96 and still growing strong. Fantastic. Garfield, from 88 to 94, still going strong. Mighty Mouse, 87 and 88. And then the conclusion. So I'm not going to go into the forward, but these are some of the iconic images. You have gummy bears right here, Transformers, crazy stuff. That is Gung Ho from G.I. Joe. Here's the introduction with all the characters. You know, here's the opening line. How do you explain 1980s to the kids of today? They just won't understand. Sorry, but you won't understand. It was a time of big hair and big shoulder pads, leather and lace, pop music and pop psychology. It was a decade of commercialism and excess, but also a period of idealism, new ideas, and the sense that anything could happen. Right? What is possible? The animated TV shows of the era embodied all of that. In the animation industry, there were people who sincerely wanted to make great entertainment for children, people who just wanted to sell toys, and people who wanted simply to hold down a steady job. Sometimes a person could embody all three of these impulses at once. This convergence of art and commerce defined animation in the 80s and set it worlds apart from the decade that preceded it. So I can tell you right now, the influence as a child growing up, Dungeons and Dragons, Pac-Man the cartoon, the Snorks, the Littles, Care Bears, just the amazing Space Ghost, Voltron. You think about all those cartoons growing up, it just allowed us to just imagine and dream big and want to create worlds. Smurfs. I remember when Smurfs came out. What grade was I in? I think I was probably in the 6th grade, 6th grade, and I took a girl on a date yeah, to the movies to go see Smurfs the movie, and that's how much I love the Smurfs. Yeah, Papa Smurf and Hefty Smurf and Smurfette and Brainy Smurf, Gargamel and Azrael. But I just love how simple the art style is, and you'll see a lot of it in the way I draw. It's just simple shapes, nothing crazy. Where they put the detail was in the background, in the mushroom huts, and the stone fire chimneys. And here we go. What I love about this, you have Gargamel and Azrael, you have Harmony Smurf, Handy Smurf. Handy Smurf was always building something. Grouchy Smurf, he was just as important to the Smurfs as Oscar the Grouch was to the Muppets, right? Farmer Smurf, Paint the Smurf, Greedy Smurf, always baking something. Poet Smurf, always trying to win Smurfette with his poetry. Lazy, Minor, Vanity, Tuffy, Papa Smurf, of course. And Smurfette, poor thing, was the only girl for a long, long time until they put Sassette Smurf. We should have just been Sassy Smurf. But if you look at how simple the line art is here, it's just pretty cool to see. But yet the heart was in the storytelling and the many adventures of the Smurf. And then they introduce Pee-wee and Johan and Pee-wee. Here's a sketch, nice clean sketch that was done. Pretty cool. And I'm not going to go into this, but if you are the art of collector and you like reference books, it's even more important not just to enjoy the images, but really to read the content, because you'll learn a lot about the creators and what they were thinking and the influences and how they shaped the worlds that they created that stood the test of time and continue to this date. Then you had Spider-Man and his amazing friends, which, I watched every episode of Spider-Man and his amazing friends. I was a big collector of Spider-Man comic books. Recently for Christmas, my team purchased a 9.8 grade issue of the Spectacular Spider-Man. Number, I believe it was 87. It was signed by Stan Lee. Framed, certificate of authenticity, the whole bit. I know it cost them a pretty penny, but because they know I'm a big Spider-Man fan, it's pretty cool. So just look there when you see the character profiles here. He had Iceman, Firestarter. So let's see, did I get it right? So bottom, you had Aunt May, Angelica Jones, Bobby Drake, and her nephew Peter Parker, and his amazing friends. I mean, I think, when you think about Spider-Man, and, we knew it was impossible to do half the things that you seen that was happening, but you just wanted to be Spider-Man. And I remember when they first came out with the webbing. It was like you shoot out these webbings, and you would tie a rope to a tree and you pretend you're Spider-Man swinging. And you wanted the Underoos, the Spider-Man Underoos. I don't know if you remember that. You probably never remember that. But if you YouTube Underoos, Underoos are fun to wear. It's new and improved in your underwear. Anyway, so it's cool when you're using your underwear. I think that's what it was.
Where you buy underwear. It's underwear.
Here's another. Looks like it was sketched out and colored in marker. And you had the Professor Xavier and the X-Men, which is amazing. So you had Firestar, Iceman, Colossus, Thunderbird, Kitty Pryde, Colossus. Then you go into He-Man. Who doesn't love He-Man? He-Man. Dum 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 dun 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 dun.
By the power of Grayskull.
I remember I had Castle Grayskull. I had He-Man, Man-at-Arms, Beastman, Skeletor, She-Ra. I had at least. Oh wow, that's not a squirrel. That looks like an otter. Looking out my window. I had at least 40 of the He-Man characters. I had Battle Cat, Stratos. I had every one of them. Horrible story. I was a big G.I. Joe, He-Man collector. I had everything as a kid. And I had tons and tons of toys. And one day I came home from school and all my toys were gone. And I searched and I searched and I searched the entire place and I couldn't find it. And I'm crying and I'm bawling and I'm like, oh, we got robbed. And my older brother came and says, no, you're too big for this. Mind you, I was in the 5th grade. And he threw it all away. He goes, it's time for you to grow up. Oh, did I resent him. Anyway, so here's Oracle. I love Oracle. And there's Skeletor, and Beastman, and Trapjaw. That's what it is? Yeah, I believe it's Trapjaw. Yep, Trapjaw. The amazing adventures that He-Man would go into. And they just can't seem to make a He-Man movie that's legit. Which is crazy. But it was such an iconic time. Such a fanciful time. And She-Ra got her own cartoon. Man-at-Arms, he was like the consigliere for He-Man. He was like his counselor. Always offered advice and guidance. Here's another sketch. Wow, so He-Man got a real good percentage of this book, which is pretty cool. Then you went into Inspector Gadget. It says Inspector Gadget and He-Man were groundbreaking in terms of distribution systems, recalls animation writer and producer Robbie London. These were two of the very first shows distributed by syndication Monday through Friday. Gadget wasn't as successful as He-Man, but arguably had better legs, which means traction, longevity, I guess. So, again, I'm going to go back and read all this stuff because that's what's fascinating, and I just love to see the line artwork. You know, it says above and below, Inspector Gadget co-creator Bruno Bianchi was a gifted cartoonist, and his initial gag drawings were a crucial part of the character development process, as seen in these illustrations for the initial series Bible. Opposite Brain is skeptical of Inspector Gadget's heroic pose, but Penny always trusts her uncle. Yeah, so he's giving him that look like, what's with that pose? But she loves her uncle and she trusted him, as goofy as he was. Go Gadget Copter. So you know he's a mechanical and he was able to do a whole lot of stuff. Oh, that's when life was simple. Here's another nice, beautiful piece of artwork right here. Attached to this book. I love this. I so love this. And we go into Real American Hero. G.I. Joe is there, and there's Cobra Commander. So American heroes have always been popular with children and remain so today. Notes Tom Griffin, co-founder of animation studio Sumbo Entertainment. The original G.I. Joe was launched in 1964 as America's movable fighting man. And in the early 70s, the military characters joined together to become the G.I. Joe Adventure Team. The ups and downs of the toy business are driven by many factors, but animation programs and heroic characters will always remain relevant and exciting for young audiences. Wow. It says when he met with Hasbro executives to discuss the company's upcoming revival of their classic G.I. Joe toy line, Griffin didn't expect to find himself in the helm of one of the biggest cartoons of the 1980s. He and creative partner Joe Bacall had recently launched their first children's program, The Great Space Coaster. Oh, it's the Great Space Coaster. Get on board. The Great Space Coaster will explore, come and ride a fantasy. If you have never seen that, you need to look that up on YouTube. You might think it's corny, but at that time, it was amazing. Produced by Sumbo and distributed by Cluster Television Productions' Hasbro TV division. So, I didn't know that. And oh man, I really want to dive into that. That's pretty cool. And look at this amazing art right here. That's showing you where the lighting's coming from, where the shading's coming from, which is pretty cool. Word bubbles. I guess this is just fleshing out the look and feel. And what I loved about Cobra Commander, he had you had battle armor Cobra Commander, you had hooded Cobra Commander, you had metal faceplates Cobra Commander. You had a lot of different variations of it. And there's Zartan, and there's his Dreadnoks with a lot of the Cobras. Pretty cool. That is pretty cool. There's Gung Ho. He was the man. The man. I love the Gung Ho. And then you had the Raven down here, which is pretty cool. I had the Raven for about 2 years. And it was one of those things that my brother threw away. He broke my heart. So look at this. This is pretty cool. So I guess this must be what they were creating the toys. I don't know. Let's see. Left. The notations on this color guide ensure the cell painters will apply the correct colors for Zartan. Oh, so those are color codes. You'd think I would have known that. No bueno. No bueno. And here's some storyboards. Right? So that's pretty cool. Right top, Duke soars into action during the storyboard sequence from the Season 2 episode Last Hour to Doomsday. This is pretty cool. This is the kind of stuff that I love to see. This is definitely worth reading. There's Destro. Wow. You have Bazooka down there. Alpine. This Lady J, I believe. That's Flint. And come on, Sam. What is who's this? Wild Bill. Wild Bill. Yes, there you go. That's Scarlet. Yep. And Roadblock. So, if you've seen G.I. Joe the movie, there was this scene where... No, that's not. It wasn't Gung Ho. I'm thinking of Quick Kick. Forget it. But you gotta see G.I. Joe the movie if you haven't seen it. It's amazing. This is great, man. It takes me back. Oh, Trouble Bubbles. Oh, and that's one of the twin brothers, Zaymard and Tomax. That's pretty cool. I remember when G.I. Joe the movie came out. Oh my god, it was heartbreaking when Duke, when I think it was Serpentor who threw the snake into Duke's chest, and Duke was in a coma, and it forced Falcon to grow up, who was voiced by Don Johnson. Transformers, more than meets the eyes. Robots in disguise. This was such a... So I had a friend named Raymond Moser. Huge Transformers fan. I love Transformers, the cartoon. I didn't get so caught up into the action figures. because I was a huge G.I. Joe fan, but Raymond loved Transformers and he collected them religiously. And I think the extent of my collection with Transformers was probably Optimus Prime, who else? Right, Optimus Prime, opposite Megatron. I'm trying. I can't believe I forgot Megatron's name. But look at this. Here's a cover to Marvel Comics 25th Anniversary Edition of Transformers, which is pretty cool. That cover, and then here's some great perspective in this angle with a lot of different Autobots. You have Decepticons and Autobots. If you don't know, now you know. You always have to battle. And what is this? For further information, contact. What is it? Transformers Immediate. Transformers transform into a daily series in September 1985. New York. The Transformers will become a daily series in September 1985, following the lead set by two highly successful miniseries that brought the intergalactic robots to television audiences last year on a weekly basis. This looks like it was a press release. Oh, that's pretty cool. And then here's some more storyboards. I don't know if you can see this right here. But that is pretty cool. So, I mean, this is such fun. I mean, just look. When I was a kid, I had a hard time illustrating Transformers growing up. So I stuck to drawing G.I. Joe because of all the angles and shapes and everything had to connect. And it felt like work for me when I was drawing as a kid. I know that sounds crazy as an artist. And you would think that I would be up for the challenge, but I wound up switching to like drawing like He-Man and G.I. Joe and Thundercats and human-like figures. But I also always appreciated the story, the heart, the art, just the whole concept of Transformers. Then you had Jem. Jem is my name. No one else is the same. Jem is my name. Jem. So why do I know this? So Tom Griffin, co-founder of Sunbow Entertainment, had great successes with the syndicated G.I. Joe cartoons and Transformers cartoons. But he knew that he was reaching only half of Sunbow's potential audience with these programs. He wanted to do a show for girls, and Hasbro wanted to get into the doll industry with something other than the traditional dolls that were available, he explains. We thought we could do something that tapped into the contemporary music industry. Wow. So, like, how do we break into this market? We don't want to be Barbie. We want to do something that's relevant to what's happening today. Music was big. Big hair was big. Pop culture was big. So they tapped into the best of both worlds. Pretty fantastic. Getting to look into the mindset of what they were thinking at the time. They saw a gap. And they needed to fill it. And they had a niche. Pretty cool. And look at the storyboards here for Jem and the Holograms. That's pretty cool. I love this stuff. Wow. Yeah, I'm just geeking out. Like I can sit here and just, like I'm gonna read this over like 5 cups of coffee and just read a few pages, sit back and think and enjoy and read a few pages. Here's some other great line work here. And you can see that they start off with, just the angles and the perspective of where they want everything to be positioned. It's pretty cool. Thundercats are on the move. Thundercats are loose. Didn't feel the magic, feel the roar. Thundercats are loose. Didn't Thundercats. It was Hear the Roar, I know. Thunder. Oh man, when they came up with Thundercats, they broke the mold because it was just like, what? You had He-Man, the Dark Crystal, Lord of the Rings, yeah, everything like mixed into one. It was just like, what? Lionel was like this a perfect hero. And you had Snarf. Man, you had some great characters. You had Snarf right there. Panthro. Chitara, Wally Kit and Wally Cat. Man. Then you have Muppet Babies. And I was a big fan of Muppets. I grew up watching the Muppets. I remember as a kid I used to love when my uncle or my brother would take me to see the Muppet movies. I saw The Great Muppet Caper, The Muppets Take Manhattan, The Muppets. It was just awesome, awesome, awesome stuff. I used to watch The Muppet Show. This is why we call the Muppet Show. If you haven't seen it, you need to go to YouTube and watch one episode of the Muppet Show. You had the two grumpy old men in the balcony always booing. You had Miss Piggy. It's just amazing stuff. That's really cool line work right here. A lot of cross hatching. You have Fozzie the Bear. Waka Waka. There's Miss Piggy. Here's the crew. There's Gonzo, Animal, Piggy, Kermit, Fozzie. Some really cool stuff here. You know, the Ghostbusters. The Ghostbusters are always cool. You have Slimer. The big thing is still going strong now, and you have one of the main actors from the young actors from Stranger Things is in the new Ghostbusters that's coming out, which is pretty cool. I loved the vehicle, which was a hearse that they converted into the Ghostbuster mobile. There's Slimer right there. There's a character model sheet. It's pretty fantastic, man. Some storyboards. And then this is the gummy bears, right? Disney Afternoon. Yep, Gummy Bears, DuckTales, Chip 'n Dale, Rescue Rangers. In the early days, they really didn't pay much attention to what we were doing creatively, says producer Tom Razika. One of the first people hired for Disney's fledgling television animation division in the mid-'80s. By decade's end, however, everyone was paying attention. Millions of children were tuning into the Disney Afternoon, featuring shows such as the Gummy Bears, DuckTales, and Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers. And Walt Disney Television Animation had become one of the most influential studios in television and animation. I was a big Gummy Bears fan. Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. High adventures that beyond compare. Where are the Gummy Bears? And then DuckTales. Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Race cars, lasers, aeroplanes. It's a... Anyway, you gotta... Again, I'm just a child at heart. This is Rescue Rangers. Chip 'n Dale and the Rescue Rangers. It's just fantastic stuff, and I can't wait to... Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, heroes in the half shell. Turtle power. Where the words must feel some fighting team. They're heroes in a half shell and they're green. Leonardo's cool but rude. Michelangelo is a party dude. So that's the Ninja Turtles, which still goes strong till today. And I love anything and everything Turtle. You cannot. In fact, I have one of the editions I'm going to do is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles autobiography by Kevin Eastman, produced through Heavy Metal. I'll be going through that book, which is fantastic. The art, the history, the story, amazing. And look at this. Look at this. These storyboards, pretty fantastic. Mugshots revised. This is for Playmates, probably for the figures. I'll read into it. I'm just going to read something here. The Teenage Mutant Animated Series enjoyed massive popularity and ran for 193 episodes over the course of 10 seasons. By the time the series wrapped in 1996, ratings were down and action figure sales have dropped off considerably since the Turtles' heyday. If the show had paused, taken a breath, and gone into new direction, we could have all kept going, says Playmates executive Carl Aronian. They had an incredible run, but it was time to give the show a rest. Yeah, that didn't last long. The Turtles never stayed away for long, though, and enjoyed numerous revivals over the years. In 2009, Nickelodeon purchased the franchise from Peter Laird, who had earlier bought out Kevin Eastman's interest in the property, and the studio has since launched a new animated series, live-action film franchise, a new line of action figures from Playmates, and a new line of comic books as part of their extensive merchandising campaign. Crazy! Then you had Garfield. Who doesn't love Garfield? And Heathcliff didn't get as popular as Garfield did, but Garfield really stood the test of time. Again, I'm just a big fan. Big fan. I love this stuff. And then Mighty Mouse. Oh, if you don't know Mighty Mouse, you don't know nothing. You don't know nothing. What do you want from me, Adrian? Cool stuff. Amazing stuff. Man. Great time to be a kid. Look at this internal memo. Jeff Pigeon did some sensational cats and mice for the Day of the Mice. The cats and mice are terrific, and I feel they could be used as character designs in other pictures. Interesting. 1988. I'd like to know, and it's probably in here somewhere, what spawned this memo and what was in relation to. In the conclusions, I'll just read just this top portion. You can go on and get the book and read it yourself. As the 80s drew to a close, the animation landscape underwent a series of changes as dramatic as those that had ushered in the decade. The passage of the Children's Television Act in 1990 instituted official guidelines for children's programming, including rules governing advertising content and quantity. Required to fill at least 3 hours each week with educational and informative EI programming during peak children's viewing hours. Networks turned their Saturday mornings over to message-driven cartoons and increasingly live-action content. So that's what happened. The adults got involved and shut it down. Ah, damn adults. Oh, look at this. Inside Editions. Send this card in or sign up for InsideEditions.com to receive a free catalog or newsletter. This is pretty cool. So that's this. I mean, the double page cover spread is pretty fantastic alone. But that's totally awesome. The greatest cartoons of the 80s, and that's an insight into what's influenced me and my art style as I entered the realm of content creation. So if you enjoyed this segment and you want me to do some more episodes, again, I'm going to do the one with the Ninja Turtles, but I have tons of books. Like I have the art of Todd McFarlane, which I'm going to be doing, and the He-Man and Masters of the Universe. But I'd love to hear your opinion. What do you think about this book? Do you own it? What do you like about it? What were some of your influences if you're an artist? And again, I am hosting a contest to draw There's an Alien in My Toilet. His name is Duty. If you go to iCreateStories.com and check out my book, draw your rendition of There's an Alien in My Toilet in any way you want. 3 winners will be selected June 5th on the June 5th episode of Catch the Craze podcast. Go over to my other channel where we interview independent creators and we talk about industry related news. And what's there to lose? Show us what you got. You're an artist. Let's see what you got. I'm Samuel. This is I Create Stories. Thank you for subscribing. See you soon.